Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, That Model Railway Guy, to an exciting video where I have a brand new product to take a look at today. Now, when I finished building my narrow gauge model railway, a lot of people told me I needed to put figures around the layout, which I subsequently did, by the way. But every so often, I also get people telling me I need to have some sheep on the layout too. And in fact, whenever I'm working on the modular model railway, because that's set in the countryside, again, I get people asking if I'm going to add sheep to the fields. Well, now even War World Scenics are getting in on the act, as they got in touch recently to let me know about their brand new sheep flocking kit, which they very kindly sent over for me to take a look at. Now, you may well be wondering what a sheep flocking kit is. That was pretty much my initial reaction too. War World Scenics, if you don't already know, are mostly known for their static grass system, and in fact, it's the static grass that I use on pretty much all my own layouts. Well, this new sheep flocking kit from WWS is a little bit of fun, and it uses the same principle as static grass to add wool to tiny little 00 gauge sheep. So, before we dive in and take a look at the actual kit, I do just want to reiterate that War World Scenics did send me this product for free with the intention of me featuring it on the channel in a video. That said, they haven't paid me to do this or asked me to say anything specific about the kit. They have no creative control over this video at all. So I just wanted to make that absolutely clear from the outset. And now, let's go and take a look at this kit, shall we? So here are the two boxes that have arrived. This is the most expensive version of the kit, which comes with both the sheep flocking supplies and also a box applicator as well, which we'll take a look at in a minute. Starting off with the main part of the kit then, let's get this open, and the first thing we have here is a nice packet of moulded sheep. Now these are unpainted and there's a little bit of flashing to remove as well, but they seem really nicely moulded overall, and it's probably difficult to see on camera, but they've still got some really nice detail. Next up we have a little pot of black paint, presumably that is for adding some details to the head and feet. And then we also get a second pot, which is actually the WWS basing glue, so we can add the flock. And then speaking of the flock, let's take a look at that now, and you can see we have a nice packet of white 0.5mm flock. I believe this is actually the same as their snow flock, which you may remember from my Christmas layout. And then we also have some beige flock as well, and I presume this is just to dull down the white a bit, so that the sheep don't look too pristine. And of course you get some black flock as well, just in case you want to do a black sheep. Finally, at the bottom of the box is a sheet of instructions, and as you can see, it's a very simple process, so it doesn't take a lot of explaining. But I won't go through this now because I am going to show you the full process in just a minute anyway. So that's the main part of the sheep flocking kit, and you can just buy that on its own, but there is also the version that comes with the box applicator as well, which is what we're going to take a look at now. As you can see, this is very nice. If you're not familiar with a box applicator, basically the metal surface on top acts as the mesh would on a normal static grass applicator. And then you can see on the side we have the grounding wire with the clip, which is what we'll attach the sheep to complete the circuit. You'll notice as well there's no plug on this, it is battery powered, and there's just a simple tray at the back where you can pull it out and put the 9-volt battery in. I think that's going to make this really handy for using on the workbench, to be honest. So that's everything unboxed. Let's actually have a go at flocking some sheep. And yes, I'm being very careful with my pronunciation there. As you can see, I've got a few sheep out of the packet, and I've already trimmed away some of the flash, which is really easy to do just using a craft knife. With the pot of black paint and a small brush, I'm now just going to paint the legs and the head of my sheep. The paint is a little thick, but don't worry, it thins out as it dries, and of course I'm just using the smallest brush I had to hand. I think really an even finer brush would have probably been better for this. Holding the sheep in the tweezers though certainly made this a lot easier and meant I didn't accidentally get paint all over my fingers, and more importantly on the rest of the sheep as well. And once I've completed one of these, I just keep repeating the process on as many sheep as I want to do. Now, while the paint dries, I am just going to get the box applicator all set up and ready to go, starting off of course by removing the protective film from the metal surface. And then I'm just going to get a little bit of the white flock and put a nice pile of that onto the surface. I'll also add some of the beige flock too. War World Scenics actually suggest a 50-50 mix here. So that's all ready to go, and now I'm just going to get the sheep again and apply some of the basing glue to the main body. And essentially here you want to put glue wherever you want the flock to stick. The nice thing about this basing glue as well is that it's not too thick and it flows quite nicely. With the glue added to the sheep, and you can see I've got the wire from the box applicator clipped to the head too, I'm now going to hold it over that little pile of flock I made earlier. You can see all the flock flies up towards the sheep and sticks to the glue. And because of the static charge, all the fibres stick outwards, giving the appearance of wool on the sheep. So that is essentially the process, and again you just repeat this for as many sheep as you want to do. You're probably best doing one sheep at a time, it might get a bit chaotic otherwise, but you can get several ready to go and then do the flocking in quick succession. The box applicator is really quite powerful too, which I was definitely surprised about. It does send the flock everywhere though, so be prepared for that, and I would definitely recommend having a little desk vacuum or something similar so you can clear up some of the excess to reuse it. The other thing I noticed as well was that I got much better results as the white and the beige flock mixed together more, so it's definitely worth taking the time to do that before you start adding it to the sheep. And you'll see this when we take a closer look at the final results in a moment. Now, before we take a look at the results, I do just want to quickly mention a couple of things. Firstly, there are different kits available both with and without the box applicator. So if you already have the applicator, you don't have to spend more money on buying a second one. You can just get the kit without it. And I guess if you have a normal static grass applicator as well, you could have a go at using that. It just might be a bit more tricky because you'd be dropping the fibres over the sheep instead. The other thing is that while this isn't a sponsored video, I do have a referral code for War World Scenics, which I've put down in the description. Now, I just put this link on all my videos that use their products because I genuinely like using them, and this code essentially allows you to earn seeds on their website, which are basically loyalty points. So if you click the link that is down in the description and create an account with War World Scenics, you'll get 100 points for signing up and then an additional 500 points after you place your first order. These points can then be used to pay for future orders, and again, you'll earn more points the more stuff you order. So it works out pretty well, especially if you need a lot of static grass for your layout like I do. And that's the other thing as well, is that you don't have to just use this on the sheep flocking kit. You can use these points on their static grass or their applicators and everything else they sell. So definitely have a look at that link down below and you could save yourself a few extra pounds. Okay, I think the glue on the sheep should have dried by now, so let's go take a look at them, shall we? And here they are, my little miniature flock of sheep. I'm really pleased with the way these have turned out, and I think having a static flock on there really makes a difference. It is a subtle effect, but it just gives them that extra bit of depth that makes them look a little bit more real, and while of course it's not an absolute essential for a layout to have these, it was a lot of fun to do. Also, whenever you're showing someone your layout, it's a nice little impressive thing that you can point out, like, look, even the sheep have wool on them. I did also have a go at doing a black sheep as well. That stands out really nicely, and as you can see, it's still got a little bit of variation in the colour there too. I would say though that the most important thing to getting these looking right is the mix of the white and beige flock. You can see here, for example, on an early sheep that I did where I didn't mix the beige in quite as much, and it looks just a little bit too pristine in comparison to the other sheep around it. These have a slightly more muted and dirty effect, which works really quite well, and I think actually these are the most realistic sheep I've ever seen in model form. And here we can see the sheep on a little scenic section of my layout. They certainly add a lot to the scene, and I think it's going to be great having a small herd of these just dotted around the place. And I've also got a normal plastic sheep here for comparison too, and I definitely think I prefer the ones that have had the flocking added. Again, I think it all just comes down to having that extra depth and texture. And of course, there's no reason why I couldn't add some flock to the plastic sheep I've already got too, which I think I probably will now do at some point. Another thing I did try out too was adding paint markings that you sometimes see on sheep, and I just did this using some watered down acrylic and a fine brush, although it's a bit messy at the moment, so I do need to refine the technique a bit, but I definitely think there's potential here. So there we go. Whoever thought I'd end up doing a whole video about model sheep? Again, thank you so much to War World Scenics for sending this over for me to try out. I've had a lot of fun with this, and if you want to give it a go yourself, check out the links in the description, and don't forget to use that referral code I was talking about earlier as well. That's it for today though, so thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!